Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bullpen. In the Bullpen today, we have none other than my friend, conservative at large, Shelley Wynter, host WSB, and a decent guy outside of his political beliefs. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. I wish I could get better than decent, though.
You're a good guy, man. Decent is actually really good for the party you belong to right now.
Right, I get that, yeah. I have so much to say to that, but we don't have much time. So, but my party is not the one killing pregnant migrants down on the border. But let's not get into that. We're talking about mass mandates. Go ahead.
Yeah, we can get into whatever you want to get into. I do want to start. I do want to start with what's on the agenda, obviously, and that is mask mandates inside of school systems. So I don't want to presume to believe what you know about that topic. So give me your sentiment of what you believe about mask mandates for school systems.
I believe that first of all, if you have a child in the school system currently, you have every right to fall on whatever side you think is best for your child, if it's mass mandates or not mass mandates. What I don't agree with is I see a bunch of older people who haven't had children in schools in many, many years at these school board meetings yelling about no mask on my children. And I'm like, you're 80, you don't have children. So I believe the parents that with children in the school system are the ones who should be determining whether or not there should be mask mandates on their current children in the school system. As it comes to teachers and employees and administrators, that's solely up to the school system to mandate whether or not what their employees do. I figure you were talking about someone being fired recently. I mean, if school teachers don't want to get vaccinated and there's a mandate, or they don't want to wear a mask and there's a mandate, then fire them, just like you would fire any other employee for not listening to the rules that you have. But my thing on a mask mandate, it should be solely left up to parents with children in the schools currently.
Okay, so let me dissect some of that, because I'm about 75% with you. But let me tell you the disconnect between you and I. I do believe that mask mandates are appropriate for school systems to implement based on what they would like to do, okay? And that power exists statutorily. We have seen people like Governor DeSantis out of Florida. He created an executive order to say that school boards do not have the ability to implement a mask mandate. A judge stepped in and said, this executive order is without legal authority. If you read the background of that, it makes sense what the judge says, because school boards exist by statute. And if you're going to limit a statutory authority, then you do it through statute, meaning the legislature. You can't do that through executive action. And I think you agree with me that DeSantis should not be able to overturn statutory law with executive action, correct?
I agree with that. But I agree that Obama shouldn't have been able to do it. Trump shouldn't have been able to do it. Biden shouldn't have been able to do it. I agree that no leader should be able to do it.
Okay, so let's go back to what's happening with school boards, because I want to make sure you're clear on this point. You do believe school boards have the right to implement mask mandates if they choose.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I just said that. But see, here's a problem that exists in our country today. You want to go after DeSantis for this because he's a Republican, but you don't go after
highlighting it.
Oh, well, highlighting it is fine, but I'm saying I already agreed with you on that, and I agree that the president doesn't have executive powers to do an executive order to go over statutory legislative issue. So we agree on this. This is not a right or left issue. This is just it
is a right or left issue. Now listen, brother, just because you are conservative does not mean you override the general sentiment of those on the right in the state of Florida. In the state of Florida, the majority of Republicans believe that DeSantis has this authority, even though it is contrary to the data and the survey of general Americans. Because out of all Americans polled, they do believe, over 60% of them believe that local school boards should have the authority to mandate masks if they feel necessary to do so.
I just told you that I agree with you.
Brother, I'm not talking about, listen, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Our conversation, brother, listen to me, Doc.
Right.
Our conversation has to be bigger than just what two men agree or disagree on. You are part of a political structure that's adversarial to what you just said on my show. They believe it.
But I'm not part, because that 60% you just threw out there has to have some Republicans in it. Has to by definition.
It has to by definition. Republicans.
Right. Let me go back. So I'm not part of a group of people that don't like mask mandates. And the question that you ask is not about mask. Well, but the part of the question that you asked is not about mask mandates. You said specifically mask mandates in school systems. That's the question I answered.
Yeah, so let me correct you on the record. The majority of Republicans in Florida do not believe that school systems should have the ability to enforce mask mandates.
I said some must do by definition,
but not the majority.
Right, so then I can't be part of a group where most of us don't. I mean, I'm part of a group where some do, and I'm part of that group that some do.
But most of the people that subscribe to your political party or ideology believe that school boards should not have the authority to do this. And I find it to be a very ironic argument. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you are able to pivot back and talk to those inside of your political circle. The irony is this for people like myself, and I think even a lot of independents, okay? The irony is this: you're saying school boards do not have the authority statutorily. You say, and I'm not talking about you personally, I'm talking about those who believe school boards should not do this. And they argue that it is a civil intrusion, right? A violation of a child's constitutional rights. But the idea of school boards implementing mandates has been around for decades. They implement vaccine policies, they implement dress code policies.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
So the thing is, I think one of the biggest disconnects between this idea of conservative and liberal is that the idea with mask mandates with conservatives has more to do with the long-term effect, dictatorial effect on children. That's what I think that has to do with. And it also has a basic freedom issue that conservatives believe in. Democrats have no problem listen to me. Democrats have no problem allowing government to take over their lives and tell them what to do. There's a basic intrinsic belief in conservative people that they don't want the government to tell them what to do, even if it's something that may save their lives. And so I think that's the biggest difference. You can talk about the polling all you want, but if you're a conservative, you fundamentally believe I don't want the government telling me what to do.
Okay.
And that's really the biggest thing.
Let me dissect that. So number one, the reason why we are talking about in part school boards is because that's where the fights are happening. Literally, parents are going up to school boards, citizens are going to school boards, and they rather throw fists than throw on a mask, right? So they're deciding to fight people physically. Medical doctors, other school board members take over meetings, fight other parents who oppose their political ideology. So that's number one. Number two,
and I don't agree with that at all.
Okay.
And I think I said that in the beginning.
Number two, the issue of Republicans wanting less government is laughable. Let me tell you why it's laughable.
It's not Republicans, it's conservative voters. The Republican people that get elected, that's why you have a term rhino. That's why you have people that don't agree with Republicans. That's why you have conservatives who don't turn out to every election so the idea of the Republican Party is divorced from the reality of the average conservative on the street. Just like the idea of the Democratic Party that screamed about how they want to do reparations and still haven't given it to you all as the base is divorced from the reality of the basic liberal Democrat voter. There are two different groups of people on both sides of the fence.
But one group votes for the other group. The reason why Republicans are in power,
all of us vote for our
because, brother, listen to me now.
Right.
The Republicans that are in power, they had to win a Republican primary.
Right.
Where Republicans ran against Republicans, and Republican voters decided to participate.
Same on the Democrat side.
But when you, brother, you can't divorce, for the sake of an argument, Republican voters from the politicians they elect and support. You can't make that divorce happen here.
Sure you can, because you know why?
No, Shelley.
You know why I can? Because for 40 years I've been going to black barbershops and I've been saying to other people and they've been saying to me, I'm tired of voting for the lesser of two evils. So you most certainly can divorce the two. When you're in a position.
That's really interesting.
That's not really interesting.
Listen, I appreciate your data collection at barbershops. We're not a monolithic people. We actually are expanded beyond barbershop talk.
You just made my point.
Yeah, we are expanded beyond barbershop talk. So
right. So conservatives are not a monolithic group.
No, you're definitely not. I'm talking about the majority sentiment.
Thank you. Down goes Richey.
The majority sentiment. Come on, man. Come on, brother.
Not on your. You just made my point. You just made my point.
Shelley?
You said we're not a conservative group, and neither are conservative.
The
so we
vast
just
majority.
5 minutes of time.
Shelley, I'll wait till you finish, brother, because you're being rude at this point.
I'm done.
Okay. I'm arguing from a position of what the majority of people affiliated with your conservative ideology believe. I'm arguing from a majority premise. If the majority of people connected to the left believe a certain thing, I would have to argue that premise, agree or disagree. I understand why it's part of the conversation. The majority of your party, you're saying that they believe less government, right? Let me show you how that's hogwash.
Right.
Less government as a principle, less government. Let's look at the history. The greatest expansion of government has taken place not under Democratic presidents, but under Republican presidents.
Presidents don't write legislation. We've been through this already. Come on, skip around this. Skip over this. President don't
allow me to finish my point. Shelley, then respond.
Okay, but presidents don't write legislation.
Shelley,
they can't expand.
You have opportunity to respond after I make my point, brother.
Go ahead.
The greatest expansion of government in the United States of America happens under Republican leadership. That includes a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and a Republican president. We can go to the Homeland Security Act and many other acts that have been put into law by Republicans to expand intrusiveness with government. That's number one.
Right.
Number two.
Okay, can I answer that before you go to number two?
Brother, I have to finish making my point, Shelley. Number two, when you talk about as a principle, you want less government involvement. Well, Republicans, both voters and politicians, they're just fine with telling a woman what she can or cannot do with her body. They are for that government intrusion. And if you are,
they're fine with protecting the baby.
Shelley,
they're fine with
finish.
I'm sorry.
Allow me to finish, brother. If you are anti-increased government or antithetical to more government in the lives of everyday people, even to the point where you said on my show, they are willing to risk lives in order to stop government from intruding upon their lives. That's a principled argument. You're telling me that that principle goes out the door as it relates to a woman's right to choose?
No. What I'm telling you, so let's go back to the beginning. First of all, the reason why so many Republicans ran to a Donald Trump is because they've been fed up with Republicans who've come before them every time there's an election, and they've said to them, oh, I'm for less government, I'm for less spending, I'm not gonna do this, I'm true conservative. They get elected and they don't do these things. And that's why so many people responded so positively to Trump who were conservative. John McCain got murdered in the election. Mitt Romney got murdered in the election because conservative voters who believe in less government saw these guys as not true Republicans. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, as it pertains to abortion, Republican voters are not trying to control a woman's body. They're trying to protect the life of the baby, period. Abortion has nothing to do with, that's your talking point about abortion being controlling the woman's body. No, conservatives who are anti-abortion are protecting the baby. That's it. Okay. There's nothing to do with the woman's rights or anything in their minds. I'm not here. I'm not arguing. I don't want to argue abortion with you because we're talking about COVID.
I'm going to bring your rebuttal.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. But when I tell you, as I talk to conservatives all the time, their argument is not to attack women. Their argument is to protect the baby.
Yeah, but they see themselves.
Well, that's fine. I'm telling you what their argument is. As much as you want to believe it's well, I gotta finish talking just like I allowed you to. But at the end of the day, as much as you guys can talk about this idea that you're taking away a woman's right or intruding on a woman's rights, they view it as protecting the baby.
All right, so let me respond to that. The majority of the legislature, Republican controlled in Alabama, passed a law a couple of years ago that said even if a woman is raped, even in the case of incest, they will still have to have that child. And if they decide to abort that child from rape or incest, they will get more time in prison than the person that raped or molested them. That was passed by a Republican legislature out of Alabama. That was the law for a period of time in the state of Alabama. Let me go beyond
and what happened to that law?
I allowed you to finish, brother.
But I'm saying what happened?
I allowed you to finish, brother.
This is an absurd argument.
It's not an absurd argument.
It is an absurd argument.
Allow me to finish my argument, sir. Allow me. I allowed you.
Right, okay? Because if you don't see that the law that allows someone,
I am going to finish my argument on my show. I promise you that.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop this truth, brother. It's going to come to you like a train.
I didn't say it wasn't truth. Okay? It is truth, but it's a faulty premise.
Here's the other part of the argument.
Do you not understand the faulty premise idea?
Here's the other part of the argument. Virtually all Republicans who believe in this fantasy world that somehow the conception is when the baby is there. Let me say this. Everyone who says, well, life begins at conception, they utilize a biblical standard for that definition or that particular platform. Let me be very clear. If you want to use a biblical standard, Shelley, let's use a biblical standard, okay? All right, you want to do that with me? Can we do that together?
No, because it's again, we're wasting your listeners' time because we're having a stupid argument.
Shelley, come on,
we're having a dumb argument. Because you can run through the Bible and say all kinds of stuff. First of all, hold on. This is real talk. You bring me on here to talk as a conservative, but then you want me to represent every conservative.
No, I don't.
When
I want you to at least be knowledgeable and defend it. But brother, I'm gonna go ahead and finish my point, man, because listen, at this point, you're being silly. So here's the argument.
Here's the argument. I'm telling you my opinions.
Okay,
and then
Shelley.
You want to tie me into the majority of conservatives?
Okay, I'm going to tie an argument into the majority sentiment of why most politicians and voters on the Republican side say that they can take away a woman's right to choose because they are protecting the child. Right. If you believe that life begins at conception.
I believe that life begins at the start when you see something beating in the heart. So let's start there. You see, you're applying stuff to me to make an argument, and I'm not trying to win an argument with you. I'm trying to have a nice, nuanced dialogue for an audience of people watching us. I'm not trying to win or lose, but you're putting.
You have interrupted my point 4 times now. I got to tick.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just ridiculous to have this waste all this time.
I'm making as a rebuttal to what you said.
But it's not a rebuttal. You understand? It's not a rebuttal. Well, okay.
Are you afraid to hear what's about to come, brother?
I already know what's about to come out because you guys say it all the time. Yeah, they all say it. They're all in your chat room right now saying the same thing.
Shelley,
I mean, it's a ridiculous.
When are you going to shut the hell up?
I don't know. 4 o'clock.
Okay, you finished?
I'm done.
Finish or you done?
I'm done.
Okay. Everyone in the Republican Party, voters and politicians that utilize a biblical standard in order to say life begins at conception, they are missing one element that's right inside of their own Bible. And the biblical standard for life or a living soul is when Adam was created. Adam was a biological entity. Adam was living based on scientific definition. He was created, right? That's how the biblical story goes. Adam did not become a living soul until something happened to Adam. Adam only became a living soul when, according to the story, God breathed into him the breath of life. It was only when there was a respiratory function that Adam, according to the Bible, became a living soul. The Bible says that when God breathed into Adam, Adam thus became a living soul. There was a respiratory function first. So even though, this is my overall point,
so let's abort Adams. Let's abort men at 25 years old. Okay. Let's determine life starts when God breathes the breath of life in you. Okay. And if you're an atheist, then you can never be aborted because you don't believe in God. And if you're a Muslim, if you never believe in Adam and Eve story,
that they believe in to show how silly the point is.
I'm making your point sillier by telling you everything that you're saying is a ridiculous premise in an argument over policy. That's what I'm trying to point out to you.
Wait a minute, hold on, bro. Hold on, wait a minute. Think about what you just said.
Why you sit there? I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about Shelley.
Okay.
No,
Shelley.
I'm talking about Shelley. I'm not talking about them.
Come on, man. Damn.
Brother,
listen, let me tell you something. If I was on WSB, I would respect your show, brother.
I'm respecting your show.
No, hell, you're not.
Yeah, but you're not respecting the argument. And that's primary. It's not about the show, it's about the argument, it's about the debate. And the debate is not about Republicans' idea of conception. I'm not sitting here telling you that.
So I've been friends with you for a long time, but you're one silly ass person. So I'm gonna finish my argument.
Now you call me names? Really?
Yeah, you silly as hell. Look at what you're doing. I'm gonna take this video back to you, and you're gonna realize how silly as hell you are.
Right.
Now, you just said, Shelley,
and your time. Your neck is too tight. Fix your jacket.
Okay.
We gonna call Shelley now?
Come on, man. Shelley,
man. Come on, man.
You have politicians in your
Take the
political
pads
party.
out your shoulder jacket. Come on, man.
You have politicians in your political party that base their entire political policy agenda on their religion. That's what they have. That's what they say.
Right, and then there are people in your there are people on your side of the fence that base their entire policy positions on a lack thereof any faith tradition, whether it's any kind of religion, based on the power of the state. So I mean, it's just come on. Just wasted 20 minutes. I appreciate the opportunity.
Shelley, it's because you kept doing you're scared, Shelley. You're scared of points, and so you kept trying to interrupt because you're afraid of.
Afraid of what?
I don't know, man.
I
don't know.
Adam,
it may be that silly ass shirt you got on.
Maybe it is. Maybe it could be. It could be possibly. It could be possibly.
Shelley,
I know shoulder pads and suit jackets went out in '89, brother. Peace out.
Brother, I appreciate you being on Indisputable, man. Thanks for coming to the bullpen, Shelley. All right.
Love you.
I love you back, man. Have a horrible day. All right.